So, to wrap us up for this week's session, we are going to go into the very hot topic of Mr. Jussie Smollett. So, for those of you who don't know who Jussie Smollett is, what rock have you been living under? He is an ex TV star and actor on the show Empire. Yes, the one with Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson, where basically they were continuing in some sort of sense their roles from Hustle and Flow, in my opinion. But he played the son of Terrence Howard and Taraji P. Henson on the show Empire, and he is an openly gay man who had supposedly experienced an attack against him, a hate crime for being a gay man. Recently, he was found guilty of orchestrating that attack. So the question of this particular incident is homophobia the reason why Black people aren't outraged about the Jussie Smollett verdict? We're going to throw this to PAT to start us off. What say you, sir?
All right, so for this episode, this is a question that I came up with more or less. And of course, my co-host agreed on the question. But the question really would be, is homophobia the reason why Black people might not be outraged about the Jussie Smollett verdict? And for me, the wording is important. And I put might not just because, of course, I'm not here to speak for all Black people. I can't speak for all Black people. I don't speak for all Black people. So I can't say, oh, Black people are just not outraged, because I don't know every Black person on the planet. I'm sure there are some Black people who are, and then there's some who aren't. And then there's some people who don't, some Black people who don't know what's going on. So we're going to make sure the wording is the way it needs to be. Regardless, it's the same question. But to respond to the question, like I said before, I obviously can't speak for all Black people, but I can say that to my knowledge, the Black people who are not outraged about Jussie Smollett's verdict, well, that has nothing to do with being homophobic. I think in general, some of us just don't care. And when I say us, I'm including myself. We just don't care about this whole thing. And that's also going to be another reason why I'm not necessarily going to speak too much on what happened, because of course everybody has Google, and a lot of people for the most part are aware in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not going to speak too much on the incident and what he did or didn't do or who he collaborated with or whoever. I'm not going to speak on that. I'm going to just get to this question directly. So I just think it's a case where some of us just don't care. I don't think it's about disliking gay people. I think this idea of Black people being homophobic is largely blown out of proportion and is fabricated for the most part. Now, this is not to say that there aren't Black people who do in fact have a problem with homosexuality and have caused harm to homosexuals based on their sexual orientation. I know that does exist. I know that. I know that there has been crimes against gays and transgenders that have been perpetrated by Black people. But that is not the majority of Black people. That is not the majority of the African diaspora. Now, I've done my own independent research and still continue to do so. And yes, I've seen stats that suggest that crimes against gays and transgenders were disproportionately committed by Black people. However, on the flip side, I've seen stats that show that Black people largely support initiatives that are in support of LGBT. Just like with everything else, there is always two sides to a coin. I think this idea that Black people are somehow more homophobic than any other race of people is rooted in white supremacy. White supremacy controls the media. Therefore, they tell people at large what to think and what to think about. Too many people don't think for themselves. If I'm gonna just keep it a buck, I mean, too many people just don't think for themselves. So they hear certain narratives and they latch on to those narratives and they go around regurgitating it over and over and over. And eventually people just start believing it. They throw terms like homophobic and transphobic around at anyone who disagrees with anything having to do with LGBT. Once you don't fall in lockstep with LGBT, you're called these terms. In regards to the white supremacist media and the followers of said media, I think it's about highlighting bigotry in Black people that could be comparable to white racism. I think that's why the whole thing about the Black community being homophobic or transphobic, I think that's why that comes up. It's trying to create like a comparative bigotry to white racism. But to get back to Jussie Smollett, the thing with him is he's not someone who was highly favored among Black people. And I'm talking about as an actor / entertainer. I've never seen anyone, Black, white, or otherwise, go to watch a TV show or a movie or anything of that nature because Jussie Smollett was in it. And this is no disrespect to Jussie Smollett. I'm just being real. I'm saying all of this to say that before the verdict came out and we heard about what happened to him basically being a hoax, I don't recall anyone in the Black community really giving much of a damn. If he in fact did fabricate that whole incident, it really just makes one ask, what the fuck? Like basically, like, the fuck is wrong with you? You know, like that's really what comes to mind, I think. And I think we need to touch on James Baldwin, may he rest in peace, because he was a Black homosexual. And to my knowledge, he was highly respected amongst Black people back in his time and even still to this day. Jussie Smollett, to my knowledge, is an activist. And I don't know, maybe he is, maybe he isn't, because, you know, some of these celebrities do dibble and dabble and they do some activism here and there. So maybe he might be, and I just don't know. But I haven't heard about him being an activist, at least not to the degree of how James Baldwin was. So just to address that point, you know, he wasn't seen in that high regard as somebody like a James Baldwin. That's what I'm getting at. But to wrap up my part, I would say that while we, and when I say we, I'm talking about we as in Black people, can speak about being more tolerant of people who engage in different lifestyles, we also don't need to push false narratives. I'm talking about false narratives that just add to the many negative stereotypes about Black people. So those are my thoughts on this whole thing. And I guess my answer to the question, we could go to the next person.
All right, all right. Thanks for sharing. So,
Yep.
um, I'm gonna go ahead and put my thoughts in here. So, and to clarify, we definitely are going to address the question in the manner in which you posed it, which is homophobia the reason why Black people might not be outraged about the Jussie Smollett verdict? I definitely understand and respect where you were coming from, where you said you can't speak for all Black people, which is why you used the words might not. I use the word aren't because it typically for me, I never assume anything is representative of any whole group. There's no
Right.
way for
Right.
that to happen, in my opinion. There's not any one person that has any authority to speak on any group as the whole, because you're an individual. You
Right.
can't
Absolutely.
represent a
Absolutely.
whole
And,
group.
and real quick, I didn't have an issue with how you said it or
Right,
how you
right.
worded it. I just wanted to
Mhm.
clarify because yeah,
It's significant to your point. Yeah,
yeah. And
it
then the thing
definitely.
is too, that of course there's the people out there who they nitpick and
Yeah,
you're like, oh, how you what you think you speak for all Black people? Like it's like I was just like, nah, let me make sure it's
right.
worded a certain way. That way, you know,
Yeah.
nobody could come at it like that, even though
No,
some
I
people still
definitely
might.
understand. Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. That makes perfect sense. So, for me to answer the question, is homophobia the reason why Black people might not be outraged about the Jussie Smollett verdict? My answer is no, it is not. Uh, I agree with Pat in that I do not believe that the reason that people are not outraged by the verdict is because of homophobia. I believe that people are not outraged by the verdict because he's fucking guilty. I think that the jury got this one right. I mean, all the evidence that was presented in this case, it would be highly unlikely, in my opinion, for any of this to be reversed. There is overwhelming amounts of evidence against him in this regard. He knew the perpetrators. So even if you claim, okay, people know the perpetrators all the time when they are victims, they are fucking Black.
Right.
So two Black guys that he knew, that he was actually friends with, decided to randomly commit a hate crime against him. So the whole time they were friends with him, they were secretly hating the fact that he was gay and decided to randomly commit a hate crime against him at a place that all of them had visited before the incident occurred. Yes, look up the story, folks. They cased the location before the incident. Now, Jussie claims that they were just driving around smoking weed from stress, but they drove around the same set of steps multiple times where the incident occurred. That's casing the fucking scene of the thing. The reality of it is the motive that the prosecutors presented was that Jussie was upset that the producers of the Empire, the show The Empire, weren't taking serious actual threats that he received. So his solution was to stage this hate crime. And that's fucking ridiculous. So I think the Black community did not feel outrage against the verdict, not because of homophobia, but because it was the right verdict. He's guilty. I don't see any evidence that suggests he isn't. At least when I say he's guilty, he was found guilty by the jury. It's my understanding there were Black people on the jury. And the evidence that has been presented to me seemed resoundingly clear that he was a part of this in some way, somehow, which means it wasn't a random hate crime. However, I will say this. I do honestly believe that there is a homophobia issue in the Black community. I honestly believe that, and I'll tell you why. The Black community for a very long time was primarily made up of Christians because it's what was sold to us at slavery, right? The reality of it is slave owners used Christianity to keep slaves in control. It literally is a part of the Bible that says that slaves should obey and honor their masters. So when you consider that Christianity is starkly against the gay community, they have gone out of their way to make it known that people who are gay are sinning and they're going to hell per their beliefs, and they have all of these reversion camps and etc. When you consider that just recently, in my opinion, the Black community started waking up and deciding to look outside of Christianity, why wouldn't there have been some residual feelings towards the gay community left over from Christianity, when there are still some residual feelings from other areas of Christianity, even though Black people are waking up? I mean, you still have some Black men who say no homo. Sir, if you need to say no homo just because you made a comment when you are clearly not a homosexual, you have something you need to look in yourself and evaluate. Think about that. Think about another scenario that relates to that. If I make a comment, okay, about how beautiful another woman is, I don't have to say no homo when I make that comment. I would not feel the urge to do that. I totally honestly believe that there is an underlying issue of homophobia in the Black community. However, I believe there's an underlying issue of homophobia in the white community.
Yeah,
I believe there's an underlying issue of homophobia in most communities.
Yeah, I was actually gonna that's where my pushback was gonna be, because there is that underlying factor. However, it's in most communities, most if not all. Most, but I think what happens is the Black people, as as a whole, or Black people as a race, let me say it like that, it's like it's like significantly higher within the Black race. And that's where I kind of push back, like okay, it's not just a significantly Black thing. Like homophobia is not something that is significant to the Black community. Like every other community has it as well. You see what I'm saying?
I think it's more vocalized in the Black community because of our roots in Christianity. I wouldn't say that there are more Black homophobic people than more white homophobic people. I agree with you there. I think there is equivalence in homophobia in general. I think where there is religion, you have the opportunity to find homophobic people. Totally, it doesn't matter what the race is. Where there is religion, you have the opportunity to find homophobic people. I think it is definitely a very significant issue from a vocalization standpoint in the Black community, because I've seen it. And I'm not saying I've seen every situation. Again, I never speak in totality because I am not representative of the entire Black community. But my personal experience, especially among Black men, and this is an area where I would also call out Black women if they were guilty, or Spanish women, or etc., is that there is a general sense of a threat to manhood if certain things are not said. The example I gave, if you say, and not you particularly, but I've literally seen with my two eyes, a Black man say to another Black man, "Dang, though, you look sharp today, no homo." So he felt the necessity to say no homo just because he gave his friend a compliment. I cannot say that I've seen that in every other race. I'm not saying I've been around every other race, but I'm saying I've commonly seen it in the Black community. And I do
I
think
really
there's
hate that
reason for
phrase.
that.
I really do hate that phrase, that no homo stuff.
It's so ridiculous.
It's
As
silly.
if your manhood is somehow going to be changed if there is a perception that you were giving someone a gay comment. First of all, like you're all of a sudden going to turn gay if you gave another male a compliment. It's ridiculous.
Well,
It's
I think
absolutely ridiculous.
well with that, so I think in general, men and women are different in this regard. For example, women can compliment one another, and that's not, nobody sees that as a big issue. Like a woman can look at a woman and compliment her, and nobody sees that as a big thing, really, because that's just what women do. A woman can look at another woman and talk about how nice her breasts are, or she has a nice shape or whatever, and it's like it's nothing. It's normal. But like with men, and again, this is across different races, because I know it's the same thing with white men, Asian men, Latino men, etc. Just a man, just like you can't approach a man and be like, hey dog, you look good. Like it's like you just can't. Like it just comes off a certain way. So
I disagree. I've seen Spanish men kiss each other on the cheek, and that's a form of affection.
Well, Italian men do that too.
Italian man, yeah.
They call each other in New York is a big thing for Spanish men to address each other, call each other papi, give each other a kiss on the cheek, and it's a sign of affection. That actually, it happens a lot in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic as well, which a large population of them live in New York, but their children have also been Americanized. I've also seen white men compliment other white men without feeling the need to say no homo.
Right.
I feel like it's time for the Black community to own this behavior. Black men have a homophobic problem.
Right, but
not all of them, but a lot.
But so basically, how are they complimenting? Because the thing is, men can compliment men. I think it all boils down to how you compliment that man. I think that's where
true.
There's a disconnect, because if I see one of my homies wearing a nice sharp suit, I'm gonna let him know, like, yo, that's a sharp suit right there. I don't have to say no homo. Like if I tell him about his suit, huh?
You are not the norm. But I think where you fail to realize in this situation is you and Eman are particularly more elevated. I'm not attempting to disprove your point or offend the Black male community. That is not my attempt. But you are definitely at a different level of elevation when it comes to your forward thought than most, or I'm not going to say most, but I would say a fair number of our community. I mean, honestly, it's let's be 100 here. Let's say a Black man and a Spanish man go to greet two of their friends, and the Spanish man kisses his Spanish homie on the cheek. Do you think it is highly likely or less likely that one of those Black men will make a comment about that kiss on that cheek? Let's just keep it a buck.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes,
of course.
Yeah, they might, they might make a comment because it's something they're not used to. That could be it.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. You're 100% correct. And the reason we're not used to it is because of the remaining, I'm going to say, pollution to a certain extent of some of the ideals in Christianity. It's just the facts, in my opinion. It's just the simple facts. It's not to say that Black men don't have the ability to evolve or they're refusing to. I know plenty who have. But at the same token, I happen to honestly believe that it is a common behavior in the Black community, not just in Black men, don't get me wrong. It is a common behavior in the Black community to speak on it. Because let me be clear, I do believe that other communities are also saturated with high levels of homophobia. No one's going to convince me that all those gun-toting NRA freaks are not homophobic. Of course they are. And so are the skinheads.
Yeah, they're big. They're big in Christianity too.
They are. Right. Of course they are. It's just that
it's funny you say that
vocalization is through propaganda. Whereas Black people are not going to propagandize it. They're just going to speak it in their day-to-day.
Well, Christianity is actually homophobic. Well, it's actually homo, by the way, but that's a whole long another story, though.
Yeah, I mean, and listen, you're absolutely right, man. Again, I think it's everywhere. That's not my point. Is not that
homophobic. I mean, I'm talking about like
homosexuality.
Yeah, no, I know. I think that there has been recorded acts of homosexuality dating back to the Greeks and even Aristotle and Leonardo and etc. in Italy.
That's where it started from.
Right. Yeah.
Officially, Italy had no gay men up until like the 19th century or some shit like that. For the longest time, they would not even consider that any of them would be gay, even though we know that there was evidence that suggested that Leonardo da Vinci lived with a man. I mean, but still, definitely agree with you there. I'm just saying that, I'm just saying that I think that there is definitely some validity to there being a homophobia vocalization issue in the Black community. I think it's a stigma that went along with it. I think the example of no homo is a perfect example of that. I cannot say I've ever heard a white man say, and I'm not saying it didn't please don't get me wrong. I am not saying a white man has never said no homo. That would be ridiculous to say. I could say with full confidence, I'm comfortable with saying it is more so said in the Black community than many others. I'm comfortable with saying that, which means that it's time for us to open up and talk about it. Obviously, someone's masculinity is not in question if they give someone a compliment. So there's no necessity to the term no homo. None. Because it's not your sexuality is not going to change because you complimented someone.
Right. And I do agree with that point. But going back to what I said earlier, I just think it's all in how the compliment is being given, I guess, because I mean, Black men compliment, each other a lot. I've seen it, I've done it. I've seen it, so I know that we do it. I think it's just in the way we do it. I think that's where I guess there's a disconnect in that regard, because we can't compliment, or we just don't compliment each other in the way that a woman, women can compliment one another. Like we can't.
But outside of women, though, so you both honestly believe that white men use no homo as commonly as Black men do?
No. I don't even think they say it like that, to be honest. They might not say that in particular, because that's slang. And of course that came out of the Black community, that particular slang, that terminology.
But even the gesture itself, you think white men are more inclined to make clear to another man that they're not gay just because they gave him a compliment?
Depending on how that compliment is put out there, I think so, because I've heard white men say, "Oh, you're breaking some man laws." They just say it differently. They say shit, but they say it differently because.
But you think they say that as often as Black men say no homo?
I can't say if they say it often or not because I'm not in that community, so I can't say for sure. But
so they'll check you on it and
they'll
whatnot.
check. They say they will check you, but you know they just go about it differently.
But I'm talking about the frequency. I'm not in denial that it is, because my point has been that
they'll check you on it.
Homophobia is across the races, right? I believe homophobia occurs in every race, especially any with a religious background.
Right.
But you all actually think the frequency is equivalent?
Somewhat.
I think it can be because we also have to remember when it comes to our cultures, black people we talk slang. I think we talk slang more, or it seems like we talk slang more. So something like no homo just seems to come out a bit more because we speak with more slang and terms like that. Whereas, you know, white people, they don't really
they're more proper.
Yeah, that was it right there. Yeah, they're just more proper in how they speak and the things they say. So they're not
all
elegancy.
Don't believe that black men tend to be a little more concerned with how they may be viewed as homophobic based on some basically I'm going to say minimal situations. You all don't agree that that's happening at all.
Nah.
Honestly, I can't say where I've seen it more in black men than others. Like I don't know. Like I said, I think
you're gonna have to say something really outlandish. Like you going, when I mean outlandish and everything, you gotta say something outlandish and whatnot. You know,
right? And that's what I'm saying. Like it's the how.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I totally respect that. I think you all have some very awesome, open-minded friends, which is great. And I hope that those friends and their viewpoints continue to multiply in the black community.
Well,
because I've talked to some black men who have admitted as much. I've heard black men say, as long as he don't touch me, if a gay guy is coming along on an event, like he somehow, or as long as he doesn't try to come on to me, like just because he's gay and he's a man, he's gonna be attracted.
So this is the thing. So a lot of people have that stigma because they feel like gay men just want to sleep with any man and whatnot. That's not actually true.
That's not true, but I mean, yeah,
it's not even true. To really be honest, these niggas are more picky than women and whatnot. Extremely picky and whatnot. You know. Because like at first they got
heard just as many white men vocalize that sentiment, or any other race vocalize that sentiment, that like if a gay man comes along on a trip that he's going to try to holler, or they even say something along the lines of, as long as he don't try to holler at me. You feel like that is probably an equal sentiment among men of other races?
I mean, it's equal both ways and whatnot. I mean,
the way,
you know,
I was just gonna say the way I would respond to that is I can't really say for sure because I don't hang out with white men or Latinos. Like I don't want to say hang out because I don't want to say hang out because that's the wrong word to use, because I do have friends of different races. I do have, you know, white friends, Latino friends, Asian friends. So what I guess the best thing for me to say is I'm not in their community. I'm not in the white community. I'm not in the Latino community. I'm not in the Asian community. I'm not in those different communities to know enough to say they're, you know, whether they're doing it equally, or you know, as black men or not. But I know I've heard it amongst them, and I know it's there. But I can't speak on I guess the equalness or lack thereof. I can't really say because it's hard to judge on that when you're not in those communities. So
no, that's a fair point. I have friends and family, actually. I have German cousins and etc. of all different races. My aunt, my uncle who is in New York, my aunt, she is white. I have a lot of family members who are different
Yeah.
races. My
Yeah.
aunt is marrying a Norwegian man. I have grown up in a very diverse cultural world. My
All right.
I grew up around my best friend. She was Nigerian
I'm gonna be a
growing up, and I also had
right.
a lot of influences from a lot of different countries in Africa as well. My mom had a spouse growing up who was from Ghana. I have had the fortune, and of course I'm not going to say every single culture because that would be ridiculous, and I haven't, but I have had the fortune of growing up in a very diverse cultural world around me. And I can say I can rarely recall one incident amongst the folks in my family and friend group who were African where they made comments about no homo when one was giving each other a compliment, or Asian, or even some of the Spanish. My stepfather for a while growing up was Dominican. I saw men hug, embrace, and kiss each other on the cheek all the time. I cannot say that I actually saw that as a common occurrence in the Black community. When I would visit my family on the Black side, as it relates to the gay community, it was starkly different than any other culture I experienced growing up. And I love the Black community, obviously. I'm a proud Black woman. I'm very proud of Black men and everything that we have overcome in this country, because we have fought tooth and nail for, as I was saying, equality that we still haven't reached yet. But I think we only get to a certain level of growth when we address our issues head on. And I would not say that Black men or Black women or the Black community is more homophobic than another community. I would not say that. But I would say that there are definitely some issues related to homophobia that we need to address. And I think that it's a cultural thing because of the roots in Christianity that we have as a people. And I think that it is a situation where I'm not saying that anyone should be judged on either side of it. I completely understand that people have gone through different situations and have had different circumstances which have brought them to their viewpoints. But I do believe that there is something to be said about how often I have personally witnessed it in the Black community versus the other communities that I can honestly say I have equally shared time in. And so perhaps my individual experience is unique, but I've had this very difficult conversation with Black men who have admitted as much. And so, just from what I've seen, and again, this is not to in any way devalue you all's points. I think you made great ones. You're absolutely right. There's 100% a double standard in comparison between the way women can address and discuss certain things with each other than men can. Absolutely. And I absolutely 100% agree that there is just as much homophobia occurring in other races. But I do totally believe that we are more comfortable vocalizing it for whatever reason. That's just my belief. For whatever reason, we are more comfortable vocalizing it than other cultures. And it's one thing for it to exist and be held in. That's bad. That's horrible. But when you're comfortable in a certain behavior, that's also not a good thing. It's not a good thing for growth, and it's not a good thing for moving forward, in my opinion. But to the specific question at hand, which is homophobia the reason why Black people might not be outraged about the Jussie Smollett verdict? My answer is actually no. It's not. In my opinion, this doesn't have anything to do with homophobia at all. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Spanish, Asian, orange, yellow, green, red, purple, alien, fish species, bird species. If you have conscience, you can
Damn.
see that he was guilty. That the evidence is overwhelmingly in support of him being guilty. So that was my super long, extra long 2 cents on it. I apologize, fellas. E-Man, I'm going to throw it to you to wrap us up. What say you, sir?
Thank you so much. But before we go and whatnot, just like I said earlier before, let us please donate to our local strip clubs, please. All right. They're in dying need and whatnot. They lost a whole lot this year.
Because I feel like it's wintertime and people want to get out of the cold and into somewhere warm where some booty shaking, or do I not have a good perception of why men visit strip clubs?
You probably don't know why men but yeah.
E-Man said,
Those for the brothers who need it. If not, it's cuddling season right now at the moment. So yeah.
Cuffing season.
Yeah, exactly. It's cuffing season like a motherfucker. It's holiday time. Nobody wants to be homeless. It's cuffing season.
Yeah. Just make sure put your applications in early, not too late. That's all I'm saying.
Lord have mercy.
So now I'm gonna end this. So first things first, who stages their own hate crime and whatnot? Like for real, man. Like you an actor, but then you acted like you staged your own hate crime. And that's what you did.
Hold on, that's actually kind of funny when you put it that way.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're an actor, but you
set up his own movie.
I feel like you made your own movie, and then you were like, "All right, cool," and then like, "Yay!" You know,
right? Gave himself the lead part and everything.
Everything, you know,
got caught.
It got caught.
Right. Damn.
I'm like, yo. What is up with the dry snitching? My man, I don't know, man. So Jussie, I'm just letting you know you're not that great of an actor. If you got caught acting your own hate crime. Like,
now, can I ask y'all a question? Did either one of y'all watch Empire? Because I never watched it. I think I watched
actually. I watched it briefly in that first season,
I was
few episodes, and then I was like, I'm done.
I watched Empire. I've watched majority of seasons. I'm on the last season that I need to watch, but I haven't watched it because Cobra Kai has been 10 times better. So,
yeah, I totally agree. But was it like interesting? Because I want to say like PAT, I watched like 2 episodes of like the first season and I couldn't get into it, so I stopped watching. But I heard that he was like he could sing or something like that.
That nigga can sing.
Yeah, that's true.
That nigga can sing.
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
can
even
sing.
gonna lie.
I actually forgot about that.
That nigga can sing.
Okay.
I ain't
so he is talented. He just never has done anything outside of Empire.
Yeah, he really has
done some stuff.
So
yeah,
he actually has, but many people don't know. But you know the little girl who played
his sister
in Full House,
Journey Smollett.
Yeah, that's
Eve's
his sister.
Bayou. She started Eve's Bayou too.
Yeah,
that movie.
So that's her.
Yeah, she's very
brother
talented.
and whatnot.
She was in that one joint, Lovecraft Country, which was a good show. That was a good one.
I didn't watch that show. I need to get into that show.
Yeah, that
was also in that movie with the DC movie, Pat.
Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey, right?
Yeah. She was Black Canary.
Yeah, she did a good job in that.
Oh shit, man.
Yeah. You haven't seen that movie, E-Man?
The Birds of Prey.
I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice.
Is that the one with this one black? Is that the one with that chick who plays Harley Quinn? Yeah,
it's Harley Quinn. It's like hold on, I'm gonna look it up. The Emancipation of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, and the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. And so it's like Harley Quinn and Black Canary and
some little Asian girl, right?
Yeah.
I seen that, John.
Like
joint's
Pat
pretty.
said, it was just all right. It wasn't nothing
Yeah,
to like call home about.
Now it
no.
was okay. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
But now getting back to this and whatnot, you I know you can sing, man, but your acting was horrible. And I don't mean horrible in the sense like in Empire, because you know it wasn't that bad, but staging your own hate crime and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you can go to jail for staging a hate crime. I just learned
Mm-hmm.
something new.
But is he going to jail for that, or is it like filing a false police report or something?
You can.
Is he even going to jail?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's going to jail for that. He might get like some type of probation or something, but I mean,
Good
who
Lord.
knows? But I can't
Yeah.
see him doing any time for that, really.
Me either, Pat. I
I
feel
mean,
like he's probably going to get like what's they called when you get well, not you, but when somebody like get a charge, but then they suspend it.
yeah,
Isn't that what it's called? Like when someone get a charge,
yeah,
but then they don't have to serve no jail time, they suspend the
yeah,
charge or some shit.
yeah.
So yeah, something like that.
Basically, and then
Yeah.
then you basically got to do community service and whatnot.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah. I
I
don't
feel like
know.
that's what's going to end up happening.
Well, at least he doesn't have to drop the soap, so it's not a
Lord
bad.
have mercy,
So it's not a bad thing. So yeah,
sir.
but
What are we going to do with you?
that wasn't a low blow. I'm putting all the vernaculars that most people would tend to use. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But
Okay.
but Jesse, like, I feel like after once Empire is finally done now, but I feel like that's all what you had. Even the other dude from Empire One, that's all you guys had. Now you out here staging a hate crime. I don't know what else you might do. Are you gonna stage your own like performance with no audience and whatnot? Like, how far are you gonna take this? Are you gonna like perform in front of like nobody and whatnot and think there's millions of fans there? Like, I don't know what else to say and whatnot. But if you felt, and many people don't know this, that Lee Daniels is also gay too. So I feel like because both of them are gay, he felt like he wasn't in his corner. I don't know, I don't know if rules, towards not just being gay, but is it different towards it's like you guys are both gay, but yet you turn away from me and whatnot. So I had to stage my own hate crime to get more clout and whatnot. Like, I don't know how it works in this sense and whatnot, but yeah, you burned your own self, man. Like when I first heard this story, I think I laughed so hard that I almost pissed myself and whatnot because it was just that funny, you know. And I'm not laughing at him. I'm laughing at the simple sense of like you had to stage something just to get some type of like clout. And I'm like, can he actually do it? But seemed like he can. But
Yeah, just to clarify real quick, E-Man. So I pulled up the article on NBC News 2, and it says that he was convicted of disorderly conduct, which is a class 4 felony that carries a prison sentence of up to 3 years. But experts have said if convicted, Smollett would likely be placed on probation in order to perform community service.
Yeah, that's what
So
I
it,
thought. Yeah.
yeah, so it feels like most of the damage is to, his career, his livelihood, because he was fired from Empire, right? He hasn't been rehired on any show or anything. So it's probably very unlikely that he's going to get the opportunity to work again in Hollywood. But I mean, at the same time, his family appears to be okay, financially. So I doubt that that's like the worst thing in the world. But yeah. And of course, he's maintaining that there was no hoax, even though he knew the attackers and they were his friends and they were black. But I'm just saying.
That was the biggest low blow in the world.
I'm just saying because I just find it like I'm
funny.
just trying to wrap my head around like how it wasn't a hoax when he knew like his attackers. Not only did he know his attackers, he was chilling with them that same night at the place where he got attacked. Like it still doesn't even make sense that he got attacked there at the place where they were all at the same day. And he says that they were driving around smoking weed because he was stressed. That's why they drove past that same location. And it wasn't that they was scoping out a location. He
that extra type of special,
Yeah,
like,
I just don't get it. And then they're claiming that he was offering them $3,500 each. So first of all, okay, I'm just trying to understand. So so basically, Jussie's claim is that these are actually homophobic dudes who were really close friends of his, who made up the story of the hoax to get out of actually being responsible for committing a hate crime. Yet they decided to commit the hate crime in the place where they were with the victim earlier. And then they contacted said victim before and after the incident. So they just went off the. I'm just trying to put it together because for me, like I'm trying to find a way to give some validity to Jussie Smollett's argument that these guys actually attacked him. I'm trying to find a way to make it valid, but you can't.
We don't love them hoes.
That's
all I can say.
Sense.
Yeah, it don't.
And what's sad is there are people who experience actual hate crimes, right? There are homophobic people who actually commit these crimes against the gay community and the transgender community and the LGBTQ community. There are actual hate crimes that occur, and shit like this just deters from it. It's similar to like sexual assault cases where some people claim sexual assault, it didn't happen, and now other sexual assault victims are scared that they're going to be seen as like the little boy or girl who cried wolf because of the ones who faked it. Like, it's just sad that he went this far. He had a platform. So it's the day of social media. He could have just went on social media and was like, I'm getting these threats and no one's doing anything. The LGBTQ community would have backed him up immediately after that. We've seen how fast they come to the aid of each other, which I'm not saying that in the negative way. I'm just saying it's true. It's factual. They are very quick to aid and support each other. So I just don't understand why he went there.
He that type of special,
Yeah, that story is super special.
All I'm gonna say is this, right? And I want to end it. I really do. Not just because for Jussie Smollett, just because the simple fact is this story don't make no damn sense. And I'm trying not to laugh, but the shit's funny. But I don't know what to say, Jussie. I mean, I don't know what to say. You pay your attackers money, but then they did a shitty job attacking you. I don't know. Like, if you thought you were trying to do like that one movie where they did like a $10,000 budget and make millions off of it, you're too far away, buddy. Too far away.
Were there cameras there?
Who knows?
Someone recorded it?
Who knows? I don't
Oh,
know. They did. Someone did. I don't know.
I heard there was some kind of video there, but I wasn't sure if it was like video from a side of a building or something, right? Because didn't he say that like his attackers were white or something?
Yeah,
Something
originally
like
I think he
that.
said that.
Oh man, this is the
I'm
shit.
sorry, go ahead, Pat.
No, I was saying I think originally that was what was said, that the attackers were white. If I remember correctly, I think that's what was said.
But how did he even see that they were white if they had ski masks on? Well,
The
I guess you
fuck?
could see up under the like the eyes, I guess, or
Well, I
something.
guess the whole MAGA thing too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he did say that shit. He threw that in there for good measure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
That is not funny. It was shit. He was
that
like, "Oh,
shit
let me
is
throw in
funny.
there the MAGA thing. Don't forget that they said make America great again. Get the hell out of here." Good
Oh
God.
man, I don't know. You try to save everyone, but everyone can't be saved and whatnot. I'm thankful for Project Pat for making that damn good song because we can't save everyone, especially hoes. We just can't save them at all and whatnot. You know, yeah. I can't call him a hoe because he really not a hoe. So I, damn Jesse, like you actually dropped the balls and whatnot. Like you dropped the ball on every like I, you just that extra special to go stage your own hate crime. I don't know what else to say, but you it's wild to stage your own hate crime. Like I don't know, you know, I don't know. Are you not getting it? Was it not enough acting gigs for you and whatnot? I don't know.
I
Did
think
nobody
he
buy
was.
your first album? Like I don't know. Like
It's my understanding, Eman, not to interrupt you, that what his motive was, according to prosecutors, was that he was getting legitimate threats, which that part of it is understandably not funny, right? He was supposedly getting like letters and etc., which he considered to be legitimate threats of people saying they're going to kill him or whatever because he was gay. So he went to the producers of Empire to tell them that he was receiving concerning threats or etc., and they were like very nonchalant about it. So according to the prosecution, his motive behind this was to show the Empire people that, hey, there were very real threats that were received,
the
according to the
fuck?
prosecution.
Lee Daniels is gay. And he's the producer of Empire. What? Yo, I don't know, man. You know what, Jesse? I don't know. You just that special. You that extra special. Like you that extra special that you need to go sit in a corner special and someone needs to hand you a teddy bear. And you just need to hold on it because you're that type of special and whatnot. Because like it just don't make no damn sense. You know, I don't know what else to say,
Totally agree.
Justin. It just don't make no damn sense. You know,
Yeah, it
I would
sounds like
love to
we're all
call it
on the
out.
same page on this one.
I don't, I don't know, man. Like, the your people didn't look out for you, so I don't even know, man. Like, you extra special, man. I don't know,
Yeah, I
Jesse.
think we're all on the same page on this
Yeah,
one. The fact of the matter is, there's
I'm,
just a lot of
I'm done.
overwhelming evidence to suggest that, this guy staged this. And that is why I believe ultimately the Black community is not, outraged by the verdict because it was the right verdict, right? I don't,
I don't
I
even
don't think
care
this
about the
has
word.
anything to do with homophobia. I
It,
think we
and
all agree
it
on
never
that.
did. It
Yeah,
never did. I don't think so.
yeah,
It never did.
yeah,
It was
yeah. I
just a
don't
simple.
think. Go
It was
ahead.
just simple fact that an idiot staged his own hate crime to
Hmm.
get clout.
Yeah, totally agree there. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, E-Man.